Hello there, welcome back. Today, with the fall season quickly approaching, I thought we'd make some herb roasted orange glazed carrots, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And for your convenience, here's the ingredients. So I know it may not feel like it to a lot of you, but fall is right around the corner, which means a lot of butternut squash, a lot of pumpkins, a lot of cinnamon, or pumpkin spice if you're into it, I guess. And with the season comes a lot of fall flavors that I'm a really big fan of. So as we get deeper into the season, I'll be incorporating more of those fall flavors and kind of seasonal items into the channel, and this happens to be one of my favorites. It's a fairly cheap and easy side dish to make, and it goes with a lot of those fall flavors, so if you get good at making it now, you'll be able to make it all the way through fall and winter, and I promise you people will enjoy that you know how to make it. But enough with all the talking, let's get into the prep. So to start all this off, you're just going to need a large pot and a couple pounds of carrots. I just went with a bag of these baby carrots that are already cut and peeled. You can get regular carrots, you can get tricolor carrots, whatever kind of carrots you think might go best with this dish, go ahead and get those. I just like these because they're easy and convenient. If you do get regular carrots though, I'll show you a little trick on how to cut them so that they're all uniformly sized, so they're easier to cook and you don't end up with big chunks and little chunks and just a whole mess of carrots in your dish. And basically, all you want to do is take your carrot, which would normally go from thin to large, and then slowly cut the edges off and turn your carrot so that each piece has the opportunity to be about the same size as the last. And what this will do is help them cook evenly and give your dish a little bit more of a professional look. If I remember correctly, this is called an oblique cut, and I know for a fact there's people on YouTube that are able to describe this 1,000 times better than I can. But if you need a little bit more description, I'm sure there's a video out there perfect for you that can explain it better than I can.
And that gave me the opportunity to eat some carrots.
But if you've gotten the baby carrots, all you need to do for this next part is open your bag, make sure they're washed and clean, and dump them into your pot. Well, this feels like it might be a little excessive. That seems a little more manageable to me. Now just go ahead and add some water until it just covers the carrots. Go ahead and add a little salt to your water. And then we're going to put this on our burner on high heat until it comes up to a boil. Cover it and let it cook for about 4 or 5 minutes or until the carrots are starting to get a little bit tender. I've already got my brown sugar portioned out, so I can just move on to the next step, which is the orange juice. You want to use fresh orange juice if you can. If you can't, that's fine. But I would highly recommend just getting some fresh oranges if you have the means to. Give these bad boys a little roll. Let everything on the inside of them get loose so that they're a little easier to juice. Cut these bad boys in half so I can juice them easier. And I actually was able to find some South African Leannery mandarins, I think is what they're called. I'm probably not saying that right. They're a little hard to get, and they're very seasonal. They're only ever around for a couple weeks, but they kind of have this orange soda flavor that I'm a huge fan of, so anytime I see them, I go ahead and grab some. I really don't know a better way of describing the flavor. There's just something about it that reminds me of a craft orange soda. Other than sumo mandarins, these are probably my favorite. And any of this meat on the edges that's lost, I'm just going to go ahead and set aside, and I'll snack on that while I'm cooking.
Get a little vitamin C in me since cold season's about to start.
I don't know if that's an old wives' tale. I've always heard vitamin C helps, but I don't really have any basis of proof. I'm sure somebody smarter than me out there knows. And I only need about half a cup of this, so everything else I'm just going to drink, which unfortunately for me is not that much. Now all we need to do is get our fresh herbs ready. You can use dried herbs if you want, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to take these thyme stems, and from the top of the stem, pull these little leaves off, so that I don't have any stem in there, and set them aside and get them ready for the dish. Now typically, this dish is done with parsley, but parsley to me is not a very strong flavor. I like its mildness in a lot of dishes, but I prefer some of the kind of spiciness of the thyme in this, and the flavor of just a little bit of rosemary in this. You can do either one if you'd like. It's your food. Make it to the flavor you like. None of this is really set in stone. And rosemary has a really strong flavor, so if you're not used to cooking with it, be a little careful how much you add because it can overpower a dish like you wouldn't believe. I'm going to try and use about half as much rosemary as I do thyme. I'm just going to give it a little chop, just so it's closer to the same size of the thyme, so it's not just giant leaves of rosemary all over just a few carrots. Go ahead and set that aside. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my butter ready. Set that aside till I need it. And now all we need to do is wait for our carrots to finish cooking, and then we can combine all this together into a delicious side dish. And I'll meet you over at the stove for the cook. So my carrots were at a point where I could easily put a fork into them and pull it out without much resistance. So I went ahead and strained them, and now they're ready to go. It's time to get our glaze ready. To do that, I'm just going to take a saute pan and put it on a medium heat and add my butter to it. And we're going to need the help of our old friend, Spatchy Boy, for this recipe. And what I'd like to do now is melt the butter and try and get the moisture that's in the butter out so that when we add the orange juice, it replaces all the moisture in the butter that we've lost. And if you want to add a little extra pizzazz to your dish and you feel comfortable doing it, you can go ahead and brown your butter a little bit just to give it a richer, deeper flavor, which is what I'm going to do. The one thing you have to be careful about, however, is you don't want to go to brown your butter and then scorch it and burn it. If it smells weird or it looks too dark, you might want to just go ahead and start over on this part, because if you mess it up, it's just going to taste like burnt butter the whole rest of the way. And this is all just about having a little patience and a little know-how. Taking your time. We're in no rush, just enjoy the process. I'm just going to keep the butter moving in the pan and make sure that it's not hanging out in one spot too long and scorching. And after about 30 seconds or a minute of the butter melting and kind of getting there, go ahead and add your herbs, which if they're fresh are going to pop a little bit, so be a little careful. And all I'm trying to do is help some of those nice herby flavors kind of cook into the fats of the butter. That way they're able to make their way throughout the entire dish, and you don't just get hunks of thyme and rosemary. They'll just be a little better incorporated. I can see my butter kind of starting to get a gold color. I'm going to let it go a little bit longer. You want it to look a little in between regular brown sugar and dark brown sugar. Just a nice little brown color. Alright, that's pretty much good. So I'll go ahead and carefully add my orange juice and my brown sugar, and I'm going to reduce the heat to a medium-low and just kind of incorporate all this together. And once it starts to thicken up, I'll be able to add my carrots to it and finish them off in the glaze so that we have a nice sticky cooked carrot side dish thing. Just being mindful to move everything in the pan, that way nothing's sitting in one spot and burning. It's starting to thicken up now pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and add my carrots and then just keep mixing it and turning it until the glaze thickens really nicely on the carrots, or to where I think is about done. Try and make sure all these guys get a nice little coating of that glaze. Make sure everybody's included and nobody's left out. And one thing to keep in mind when you're boiling your carrots is if you overboil them, they're going to start to try and fall apart at this stage. So there's kind of a window of about like a minute and a half where you might overcook them. But if they start to fall apart, it's fine. It's all going to taste delicious either way. And don't forget your friend salt at this stage as well.
I almost did.
And now I'm just going to kind of let the moisture cook off a little bit and turn into a bit of a thicker glaze, and it's really that easy. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to make a delicious dish. I'm getting close to this glaze being done, because I can see it's starting to get a little syrupy, which lets me know that it's not too far off from being ready to go. And the last thing I want to do is burn the sugars in this and ruin the whole thing, so this is a crucial point, so don't step away or be on your phone or whatever. Just kind of keep an eye on it and make sure that it's not doing anything too crazy. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to turn the heat off and move this over to another burner. And we're just going to let that sit at room temperature for about 5 or 6 minutes and let that glaze cool down and solidify. Give it another mix and they should be ready to go. So I'll see you back at the cutting board for the reveal. And there you go. It's literally that easy. It takes maybe 20 minutes to make, but it is an absolute fan favorite. I'm going to hit it with a little parsley just because I want it to look fancier. Help it look a little posh on the plate, if you know what I mean. The real test, how easy are the carrots to get into? Ooh, pretty easy. They fall off just as easy. And they're seriously one of my favorite things during the holidays. You get the richness of the brown butter and a little bit of that brown sugar sweetness in there that's just kind of mellow in the middle. And then a nice orange citrusy note, which kind of makes it feel like fall to me. And that thyme and rosemary, giving it that savory feel to complete the whole dish. And then you can't beat the taste of a good cooked carrot. So I'd urge you to give it a try. It's not super expensive, it's not super difficult. And as I like to say, if it's bad for the heart, it's good for the soul. I'll see you in the next one. Hello again. You've made it to the end of the video once again. And at the time of recording this, the channel's up just a little over 100 subscribers, which is mind-blowing to me, but thank you for being here. I hope I add some kind of value to your day, or maybe bring you a little peace after work. I don't know. Whatever reason you're watching, I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're at a bit of a crossroads right now for cooking. I need y'all's help to decide if I should continue cooking some of the more summer flavors, or if we should just dive headfirst into fall. Now, I'm a big fan of fall flavors, but it's really up to y'all. I don't want to cook a bunch of food that you're not interested in cooking yourself, or at least watching. So if you have any kind of opinion on it, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. But thank you again so much, and if you're new, thank you for joining us. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for coming back. And I'll see y'all around.